walk through how to get digital signatures using DocuSign. And so I'm going to open up a training example here of a document. And Don, ask questions away. It's fine to ask questions because I might miss something, or anytime you ask a question, probably somebody out there that's watching this video right now is going to have the same question. So there's all good questions. So what we're doing right here is we're going in as though we're an agent, and I'm getting ready to put digital signatures on a document not already in ZipForms. These documents, the OREA Buyer Advisory COVID-19, is a PDF, but it doesn't have immediate places for signatures. Same with this home buying process document that I have in here. And same with the buyer service pledge. These are PDFs, but they are not like these documents over here, the buyer representation or the Oregon Real Estate Agency disclosure. These documents are already in ZipForms, and when you sign these, the signatures go exactly in the right spots where you want them because it's pre-populated and it makes it easy. So we're going to pull in, we're going to go up here and we're going to say, I want to e-sign. I'm going to click up here. And first it's going to ask me which documents. So I'm going to click up here and we're going to go back into that file, before offer. And what we'll do actually is we're going to, let's say we want to DocuSign this whole packet. Let's just do that. We're going to DocuSign the whole packet. And that way I can show Don or anybody else that's watching this video how it automatically populates some of the areas, and then on the PDFs it does not, and so we have to drag those into areas for signatures. Okay, so I've picked every single document. We've got all 6 documents. I'm going to close. Now those documents are right here. And now I am on to the next step. Okay, so I'm going to click here. And in this situation, I would pick my buyer number 1 and my buyer number 2 to sign these. These are made up emails, by the way, or hopefully they're not real emails that go out to anybody. And then I'm going to pick myself as a signer as well, because there are documents in here that I need to sign with my clients. So I am acting as though I'm the buyer's agent in this situation. Okay, so I've picked the parties. Now the cool thing is I can decide which order I want people to sign. Sometimes when I'm working with clients, I realize that, hey, John is the person that needs to see the documents first before Jill does. Or sometimes I might say, you know what, John and Jill, they're kind of on equal footing, and so I can send it to both of them at the same time. And so the signing order is kind of cool over here. We can pick 1, 2, and 3, or in this situation, I want to sign the documents first so that the client knows, hey, Trevor signed these. Now I'm a little bit more comfortable in signing these as well. So I'm going to make myself the number 1 signer. And then I'm also going to change Jill and John to the number 2 signers. So after I'm done signing, after I completed my signing, then it will email both John and Jill at the same time and say, whoever wants to sign first, great. You guys decide, but it will be in both of their inbox at the same time. Any questions so far, Don?
Nope.
Make sense? Okay. Then we click over here on next. Now what's going to happen is it is going to pull in all of the documents into DocuSign right here in ZipForm. The first time that you do this, it'll actually take you through steps to connect your ZipForms to your DocuSign system. And so you'll have to have your passwords for DocuSign and all that kind of stuff. Make sure those 2 systems are connected, and then you'll get to this step, which is the 3rd signature, where you add signatures. Now on the Oregon Real Estate Agency disclosure pamphlet, it doesn't ask you to sign this document. It is basically a pamphlet that you can give to your clients. But in this situation, what I like to do as a buyer's agent is to confirm, have they seen all 3 pages? So what I do is, first of all, I don't need to sign this, so I need to change the signer up here to John Smith, okay? And all I need him to do is initial these pages. So I get to grab this, I keep my finger down and then I drag it over to wherever I want that initial to go. So it could be here, or it could be over here, wherever I want the initial to be. So I'm going to put it over on this side. The other cool thing about these initials is I can make them as large or as small as I want them to be. So if I don't have much space, I can minimize. You can make them super small, but you want to make them legible, right? So somewhere in the middle there is what I'm gonna choose. Once I've chosen a side, the cool thing is this program is smart, and so I am going to not only pick that, is I'm going to pick the date sign and I'm going to drag it over here, and I'm going to put it just below their initials, okay? And then I'm going to choose the other signer, which is Jill. The cool thing is it's because I've picked what size I want John to be, is when I pull over her initial, it's going to be the exact same size. So I don't have to resize every one that I bring over from that point on. Once I resize Jill's or John's, then from that point on, it'll be smaller or larger based on what I do. So now I'm going to go down to page 2.
Would you need 2 dates?
Nope. Actually, as long as there's one date, a lot of times you can get away with 1 date, as long as the other person's signature is there. You could put on 2 dates if you wanted to. That's a great. I would with signatures, yeah, like if there's a signature line. But when you're just doing initials, I always just put 1 date.
Okay.
And just pick one person or the other and just be consistent about it. Oops, I can keep Jill there. I'm going to pull over her initial. Again, doing the same steps. Then change it to John. Pull over his initial. Keep them a little bit further apart in case they're large. And then put that date signed there. And go down to the 3rd page. There's not much space on the top, and I want to make sure that they've read through the whole page. So I'm going to put this one on the bottom of this page so that they've gone through all 3 pages. Date signed. And again, put Jill in there. Okay, so that's for pages when we're adding signatures. Now, the cool thing is as you scroll down, you'll see on the disclosed limited agency agreement for buyers, because it's asking for signatures, it automatically populates all of those. So I don't have to mess with those. It's got the right people in the right spot. It's got John Smith with John Smith, Jill Smith with Jill Smith. It throws their signatures over here, and it's also got me. Now, I'm going to be the first signatures because remember back on the other page on selecting parties, I put myself as the first signature. So I will sign this first, and then it will go to these 2 people in their email. Down on the buyer advisory, there's no place to sign. So we're going to go through the same steps again, where we're going to throw some signatures or initials on this. So we're going to put Jill's there. And again, I'm going to be consistent about putting John and John's date signed. Doesn't matter who we put as far as date signed, it's just important to be consistent about it. So again, John Smith, date signed, and change to Jill Smith. The more you do this, the faster you get at it.
Right.
So, and then there's a 3rd page. I forgot there's a 3rd page. Initial here, Jill's the 2nd signer, John is the 1st signer, so his initial again, and date signed. Okay, now we're going on to the next page. This home buying process, this is just a document I want them to see. I really don't need them to sign it, so I'm just going to go ahead and leave it without any initials, but they'll see that document. The buyer service pledge, there is a place for them to sign on that. And so what I'm going to do is put John's signature on that. It looks a little bit big to me, so I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Make sure it doesn't take over. And then date signed. I'm going to put that over here. Signatures are wider, so even though it shows only this space, the signature will end up being about this long or maybe even longer depending on what they choose to do and how long their name is. So sometimes you might slide this over a little bit more. It's okay if their signature actually runs into the dates. That's not a big deal, just as long as it fits on the page. The one thing that you don't want to do is, like, for example, with Jill being on the right side of this page, you don't want to put this and then put date signed way over here, because once the date is on here, it'll actually run off the page. So you want to make sure you put date signed close enough over here that the whole date can be there.
Got it.
Go on to the third page, buyer representation agreement. This is a document that is put into, now obviously I haven't filled it out, so we're just basically using this for signatures. So, but again, the initials are there, and it automatically populates one, on initials, it only automatically populates one of the signers' date signed. Again, because this is a little, I would actually, in this situation, I might pull this down over here just to make sure I don't get date signed cut off. So in my situation, that's what I like to do personally. In this, it did not pull in the client's signatures. So this is the buyer agency, or I'm sorry, buyer representation agreement. It's got 2 pages here, so it doesn't have their signatures. I need to pull in their signatures on this. So here's a cool part, is it doesn't have a lot of space. I'm gonna make their signature a little bit smaller, kind of like mine is down here. I'm gonna make sure that we put in the date signed over here, make sure there's plenty of space for it, and I can pull in their printed name right there. So there's all these other options down here. If you have a company or title, or if you even want to put in text, let's say you put in the full, you put everything in there and you're like, oh crud, I'm in the signature part, but I forgot to put in, I forgot to check a box. You can literally grab this, but you want to make sure that you're doing it before they sign. Sometimes I've forgotten a checkbox or something like that, and I'll go like this, I'll put it there. Now it's not checked, so I need to go over here to formatting, and where is it? Maybe it's under location. Nope. There's a place where I can actually check the box, but it's over here. Group label, checkbox value. There we go. So now if I click this, it clicks it over there. Okay, so now the before they even sign it, because I did it as the realtor, I checked the box, they will receive the document as though it's been checked, even though I forgot to put that in there.
Initially.
As long as I don't do it after. I never want to check a box after they've signed. I want to make sure that I always check that box before they sign. And because I'm going to be the first signer in this situation, this would work. Okay, if I wanted to put in some text, maybe that I forgot. Price range, oh shoot, I forgot to put in price range. I wanted to have that in the contract. I could pull this, make it as large as I want to, and then I can add text to this. So I can say, oh, they're going to do $400,000 home to $458,000 is their top range. Okay, so anytime we miss something, we can always type it in later. It will be obvious because usually it's typed out in a different font when we do it through DocuSign. You can make it the same font as right here if you wanted to. I like to leave it as it is so that it's obvious that I added in during the DocuSign process. Then going down to the very bottom page, we needed to still put in the last client's signatures, John Smith. So I'm going to put in the, got to scroll up here, signature. Another thing that I do is I offset these so that they don't run into each other. And so it's obviously, that's just little things that I do when I'm doing these. Full name and date signed. Okay, and that takes us to the bottom of the page. Now all I have to do is hit send. If I hit send, it's going to go to me first, and then it's going to go to those other 2 emails. Actually, what I will do is I'll go ahead and hit send, and I'll show you what happens on the other side as the agent, or the first person getting those signatures. I'm not going to sign this because I don't want it to go to those fake emails that I made, but I will show you what it looks like on the receiving side in your inbox. in your inbox. There should be an email for me, like literally immediately. Yep. Oh, no, there it is. Via DocuSign. I'll show the block content. I'll bring in all those, and then all the client has to do is click there. It'll take them into the DocuSign. It'll take me into the DocuSign because I'm the first person. Continue, and now I get to start and do all my signings if I want. Make sure to verify those are the information that I put in, right? Click next. I would sign here. I'm not going to finish this because I don't want it to go to those email addresses. And if I want to, I can actually terminate this. Other actions. Void. I'm going to void this out. This was a training, not real. So I'm going to void it out. And now I've received an email that confirms that I have voided that example. Okay, that's it. Any questions, Don?
Now the email goes to them, and then it takes them, and then they have to pick out a signature, correct?
Yes, it'll take them through the process. They can either do a somewhat of a handwritten signature if they wanted to. They can just use a number of different fonts that they think is close to what their signature would look like. But essentially, whatever they choose is their digital signature from that point forward. Let's go back to...
and then DocuSign brings it back to a folder that you have.
Yeah, after all the parties have signed, then what happens is it would actually, it emails you and it emails the clients that signed, and everybody basically then immediately receives a digitally signed copy of what everybody signed together.
Okay.
So yeah, and that's how it works. So any other questions? All right, thanks for being here, Don.